Greetings everybody, it's Wolfie here on a soggy Saturday. Of course, us, like pretty much everybody else in the world, is on state orders to stay home, so figured why not make sure I take the time to take this guy apart.
Add a cut.
At any rate, what we've got here is the onboard charger out of our 2012 Nissan LEAF. This is the component that we knew had a major problem with it when we bought the car. Part of why we got it cheap. Expensive little piece of kit. We were hoping it was going to be a cheap fix. Ours was not. Since we don't know what the actual problem is, the goal here is to do a couple of things. A, take it apart to just see what they did inside. And two, if we can get lucky, figure out what failed. You know, if hopefully there's a burst part or a popped chip or something that raises its hand and says, here I am, I'm the reason why you had to replace me. So, at any rate, I'm going to grab the camera, hoping it won't be too shaky. We'll kind of do a little bit of a circle around before we start finagling this thing, because I'm going to try to take a few bits apart here in such a way that this shaky little table that it's sitting on is safe to do so. At any rate, along the back, as you see here, this, you can actually see that this is the piece down here that goes through the floor of the car, and is the one thing that requires you, I mean, aside from disconnecting the high voltage battery so you can do this safely, to undo a whole lot of plastic underneath the car to get to it. If it wasn't for this, everything would have been up top from the inside. At any rate, the way this lays out, you can actually see the cooling channels in here. This is a bleeder channel, and this is actually your cooling lines. And if you look in the back, you see where it goes in here, then goes deeper into the car's casing, and comes back out, presumably up here down to the other side. I don't know what way the coolant flows. Just know that it flows through there, and the smaller one here had a little nipple on it, which was stated that you used to bleed the system. So without, oh yeah, before I go, if anybody finds themselves needing one of these, when you take one apart, it's a 10mm socket like every thing. One of these guys with a little spin tied on it. And this guy, which is actually a 5/16, I'm sure there's a direct metric equivalent to it. This gets to some of the smaller nuts on there. And some of these guys. And you do want to make sure the hole is in the middle, because that is a security bit. There's two of them on the front, and we'll go around to that in just a moment. So, at any rate, they were nice enough to include nice handy dandy grab handles for lifting it. I'm going to try to spin this thing around here for you. Okay, here we are looking at the front of it. Lower right corner here of the screen, this is where your this orange plug is where your high voltage power goes in and out for your battery. So when you're charging your battery, it's going to work through, it's going to control through that component there. There's another high voltage one here that presumably is where power goes in to the system to be processed to go out to the battery. And up here you have three, you got three connectors here that go to the car's actual computer. Ultimately, we're going to want to get inside this panel here. This is where all the boards are. And as I was saying to you before, if you're going to get into one of these, you get in that Torx bit. That's what they look like. They have a little hole up, and they have that little raised spot in the center to keep you from using any old bit. Thankfully, the kit we bought has the dent in the center, so we'll be able to get into it. So without further delay, what I will do is I'll get this thing back sitting on the front here, and we'll open up the cooling side of this. So bear with me, and we'll get it laying back down. Okay. There we go. Let's see, that should work a little bit. Alrighty, as you see, there's a whole lot of 10mm nuts on this thing, including one embedded down in here. You see my finger disappearing. I stuck one in there just to make you have to hunt for one. So we will get started taking this thing apart. Yeah, none of these appear to be too terribly tight, so that's probably a good thing.
I don't hear any whistling.
I don't want to scare away the 6 viewers that I have in the whole world to watch me take this apart, so I think I'll save on that torture.
Come on, you're supposed to make your ears bleed. And yes, I'm evil. 100% certifiable.
Okay, now we have them all loose. We'll try to spin these off all quickly.
You spin me right round, baby, right round.
And with that, we get a copyright nip on YouTube.
Never. Do you hear that and go, oh God, and run.
Yeah. Given the war I had to do over a convention video, I wouldn't trust them any further than I could throw them.
Ah. Trust YouTube. Are you mad?
I understand protecting one's assets, but seriously.
It's just suffering from CYA.
Yep.
And if you don't know what that is, you're too young. You'll know in a few years.
Oh, found one that I missed in the loosenings. There we go. Yep, alrighty. Gotta double check things and find I still missed one. Now, I don't have any special mind that this thing is going to be in any way salvageable, so I'm not too worried about taking it apart. About whether or not it'll go back together when I take it apart, unlike the PTC here. Mind of me when I was initially doing that was hopefully being able to bulletproof it. Okay, so with that, there we go. Actually, exceedingly simple.
Yep.
Just sits and yep. So basically, all this does is this just sits up against some fins. There. This is what the back of that pan looks like. Quite the sealed system, if you will. At least I think. Kind of hard telling to be fair. One part of me says that it wants to be, but it also looks like there's holes down in there. Something to figure out later. At any rate, there's cooling fins in the back of this. This is what all your, I'm assuming there's going to be diodes and all that stuff. Probably a rectifier in reverse. Or a rectifier of some sort to get you to the DC to go into the batteries in here. And to deal with the 6.5 kilowatts that it must contend with. That's where the where the solid state components are, using the case as a heat sink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little foot off, give me a little bit. Well, on second thought, I'm not. That's a different size socket, and I'm not going to go get one. Alrighty. So that's what these look like in the back. Okay. Okay, here we are on the front after my computer monitors mysteriously turned themselves on. Try to get a little bit better of a view on here. Okay. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and start with these security bits here. One is over here, one's on the opposite end. And let's see, this says it is, now this is the bit that I had test fit before we started this, and it is a T30. So at least it is a fairly common piece. If I can now figure out where I have randomly deposited my little driver. There it is. Okay. And this is tight. There we go. So these are actually tighter than the cooling system was. So that just don't have the leverage. Yeah, it's going to force me to battle here. This one will not budge. All right, my partner here, he's going to give his little shot at this.
Which one? That one?
Yep. Yep, popped. Yep, it went. You got it. Alrighty then. Yes, I'm that much of a wuss that I couldn't undo a screw.
It's just because I'm built like a tank.
Yeah. So thanks to our handy dandy helper, I'm not going out hunting for more tools. Alrighty then. Alrighty, where did I put the other little 5/16 doodad that I had? There it is. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go get another socket. There. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back in was a camera blink, and we'll get me a little bit different tool here. I have a little bit more leverage on my hands, so I'll be back.
What do you need?
Alrighty, we're back. Went and got a 5/16. This one's a 12-point socket. Should be acceptable for this. There we go. Guess I should have got this in the first place. We'll have this top off here in just about a minute or so. I apologize for throwing everybody across the room there just a second ago. And for those that are curious, yes, if your onboard charger fails a diode test, there are instructional videos out there to detail making a repair. There's a couple of options out there. If the diode fails open, you will still have to take this charger out of your car, and you're going to have to effect the repair internally going through this process. If your diode fails short, this is where the forums get very helpful to you. There's a fix out there that all you have to do is remove the charge connector off the front of the car, which is still fiddly, but far less so than dinking with this. And you can then splice a replacement diode into the wiring. If yours fails in that fashion, I highly recommend going that route, because that will be far less intrusive than what we're doing here, and if it fails again, easier to replace. I've heard of some other stuff failing inside of here. One person had code similar to mine that when they got into their box, they found a chip that was blown out. I'm actually hoping that that's what it is. There's a piece of me that wouldn't mind being able to, in the long run, actually repair this and either resell it, hopefully get some of our money back, or if nothing else, have a spare in the garage in case the one we bought fails. I'm assuming the one that we bought is all updated parts inside, because that diode's been a known issue. And what we bought was a brand new one from Nissan, to the tune of $1,500. So that's why you want it to be the diode fix. Okay. With that, we have all the screws out, and thusly the front cover is now liberated from the casing. My apologies for the noise.
What?
At any rate, here we are inside. A couple of things, and again, mine doesn't seem to have one smoking gun issue. I've seen a few where this connector here is melted. Had that been a case, we could swap the top board. That's a few $100, but mine looks to be nicely intact. So we will, let's see what's going on. A very large capacitor here, probably a filter cap of some sort. And that's what one of these looks like on the inside. There's a board underneath here. I guess that's where the diode is. It's like D15 or something. And I'm not sure exactly where it's located. I don't know if it's on this one or the one below. I think it's the one below. So, give me a minute and I'll figure out how this thing wants to come out. It looks like it is a Phillips screwdriver. And we'll get this thing disconnected and removed from the box, so bear with me. Okay, had to grab me a Phillips screwdriver to get into the taking the board off. So we have one of those in hand now. Start taking these connectors apart. There's a little push tab on this thing that will liberate you from that cable from the rest of it. It's like something similar over here. Maybe. Well, this one's being a little fussier, but we did get it past the keeper at least. Okay, we'll try getting that the rest of the way out when we get it loosened. A couple of small ones here underneath this yeah, it looks like they pushed down and back. Okay. And the way this one is sitting pushed up against this plastic in the top, I think that's its issue. But more on this capacitor while I'm thinking about it. Part of when you start to dig into this car's high voltage electrics, there is a step in there that states when you are beginning tearing into this that you are to wait 10 minutes after unplugging the battery to let the car discharge. This is why. This will bite you, and it will bite you hard.
It'll look like the Christmas tree.
Yeah, and let's see, this Phillips is not going to be agreeable. This is going to be a number 2. Yeah, I need a number 2. This one's not going to work. So I'll be right back with another to go search for another screwdriver. Okay, we're back. Got a couple more different types of Phillips here. We'll see if we can get one of these to agree. Yeah, that feels a lot better. Or did. There we go. There. Okay.
Hercules, Hercules.
Yeah. Okay. Takes care of the 4 that I see.
3 points if anyone knows where that came from.
Alrighty. And one of the things that I'm looking for, like I said, I'm looking for burned components. I'm looking for any small capacitors that may have shorted internally and have basically blown up, for lack of a better description. Looking for burnt chips. Something does smell like something did cook inside this.
I noticed that too.
Okay, now we have all these released. Now hopefully this guy will give up his little deal. Okay. So we have the top board out, and yeah, that's a coating.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, something that my partner was looking at was this chip here's got this bubbly stuff as I'm feeling it. Something was definitely spread over the top of that, so it's actually meant to be there.
Yeah, it just looked weird.
All of our caps look good here, I want to think. So this board looks okay. I'm trying to look and see. I know my eyes aren't as good as I'd like them to be. There's a D15 you'll see referred to on one of these boards. That is typically the problem. I don't see that on here. Like I said, all the components on this look okay. I'm not seeing anything bad on the bottom. So this we will neatly set aside. Okay. This here's the bottom board. And the feeling are, you know, for those with a diode failure, this is where the offending part's going to be. And it does smell funny in here. Still think something let the magic smoke out. And anybody knows what I'm talking about when it comes to components.
It's the magical blue
You
smoke
never, ever want to let the magic smoke out of any electronic components, because when you do, they don't work anymore. And it does smell like something in here did just that.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
See, if you could have some elevation, you would be able to know what we're talking about. At any rate, I don't see anything that's a dead giveaway. I see a screw here, one down in the depths over here, one over here, and one over here. We'll start systematically removing all these wires off of here and see what might reveal itself. I hope that don't go all the way back here. It might. I guess I'm about to find out one way or the other. Now, something I'm noticing is these screws feel like they're coming out quite a bit differently than the top ones. I'm not sure if you're going into something different. Yeah, they're definitely going into something different. And I might have to go on another tool hunt.
Release the magical blue smoke.
Yeah. Let's see if there's any kind of a clip on here. I don't see one, so in theory these should just pull off. In theory. Yep. Basically, I don't know. If anybody's familiar with when Radio Shack used to sell components, I'd put these in that level of quality.
It works. Barely, but it works.
One would argue how well it works since we're taking one apart.
Yes, but at least it's not eBay quality.
True.
Because then it wouldn't work at all.
And yes, these are very tight. They are not being at all cooperative about coming apart. So you may you may find yourself fast forwarding to.
In the words of George Takei, oh my.
To these being unplugged. I think I'm gonna have to get a different. I'll have to get some leverage on these. So. Right, I'll be back. All right, got a Leatherman tool. These are handy, very, very handy. Now I can finish taking all this stuff apart and doing it the right way. At this point, I'm not expecting there's going to be anything here that I can replace. So what I would recommend if you're looking at repairing one of these, take a picture of where all these wires go before you start just yanking it apart like I am.
Well, the thing is, with those kind of wires, they usually are self-observant.
Yeah, you want them to be, but
yeah.
These are tight enough and look like they can get shifted around.
Dumb move, Nissan. Dumb move.
Well, Nissan didn't build this component.
True.
Okay, there we go. We have all of those out. Let's see, we remove that. Okay. Alright then. things I was fearing, and I think it is so, is this actually goes underneath this plastic. And if that's the case, I'm going to have to undo all of this. I'll finish loosening these up and see if that theory is correct.
I can hear their snoring from here. Come on, baby, talk.
I'm trying. I also found another screw here that was hidden when all those connectors were in place. So.
Oh my.
Yep. Alrighty then. Yeah, try not to be too silent when I get to thinking. As you see smoke rolling out of my ears, you know I've short-circuited something.
If magical blue smoke comes out of your ears, I'm going to have to trade you in for the next model.
Well, it'll probably be an upgrade from this one, so.
No such thing.
Thankfully, the mystery bolt happens to be the same size as the other ones in here, so yay, we're not going to have to go hunt for tools.
You don't run on Windows.
No. Nope. I predate Windows by quite a bit.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I even predate DOS.
Yeah, because I predate DOS,
Yeah.
actually.
Well,
Not by much.
punch cards were still a thing when I was born.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the magnetic tape mainframes.
Yep.
Ah, the good old days.
Okay. Here
Also,
you go.
our viewers have
Anybody
probably
who's
got-
taking this apart, that middle bolt has a couple of extra pieces there you might want to make sure you're mindful of and don't lose. And
So
as
we'll
I
promptly lose
feared,
them,
yeah.
because that's just how we roll.
Yeah. And as I feared, this whole thing is still very much locked in place. I think I'm going to have to take this out as well. Of course, the other thing I find interesting is that this is not lifting at all, even with all the screws undone. So
There might be some on the back side that you don't know about.
yeah, I can flip it over and find out. It sure didn't look like there was, because that was where the cooling passage was.
Ugh.
Yeah. So let me see what we have. Get the explore it down a little bit further here. Yeah, it's such a good thing I'm not looking at putting it back together, because probably it won't work by the time. It wouldn't have worked anyway.
I think you would've been fine.
A couple of small bolts there. One which inevitably fell down. We'll dig it out and get this piece out. Alrighty. Oops, sorry about that again. Alright, we have this undone. Well, we have another one of those grippy washer things over here that's buried underneath a green connector in the upper corner here. Should we get that out? Okay. Basically, all this is stuff that I'm doing to get down here. Oh, there's a little tiny fuse down here. I'm going to have to check that. So here's a little discovery. Okay, I'm down here. There's a screw here I'm going to have to chase after. And also I found a fuse. So I'm hoping that might be what went kapooey, but like I said, I still smell burnt, so I'm not sure why I smell burnt, but I smell it. And you got another screw stuck in this corner. It's going to prove to be highly interesting to get to. So with that, we'll start taking these apart. Oh, and there's one there in the middle. Okay. All right. I'll be right back. Actually, give me this. Where's the voltmeters? That's back in here, I hope.
There's some right there.
Good. Okay.
Third shelf down, left-hand side.
All right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to grab me a voltmeter right quick, and we're going to check that fuse. And some kind of a stylus there.
Yeah. It's still on.
Okay, yeah, I know I'm setting this in here. It's probably not a thing you'd want to do at the end of the day, but I want to be able to show you what I'm looking at. So, put that over here. We want continuity. I do believe it can be seen in the screen. So that's sitting there. None of that's conductive, so we test that. And I'm going to dig down here in this dark little hole that is probably now obscured. Okay, our fuse tests good, so that's not the cause of our failure here. Okay. So at that we resume the exploratory surgery here. Okay. One.
Roll
two is here in the middle, and then I got to get to that weird one that I already know is going to be a bit of a process.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. That question is, does this come out?
I can already answer that.
Well, the little piece of metal I know does not, but the rest of it might actually reveal a hole. We'll find out. I'm going to check something else. This is showing to be a diode of some sort. We're going to check that guy before I go taking things too far apart. This would not be the D15, but it is a diode, and we will give it a check. Give it a check because it is there, and I have a tool to test it. So, let's see. That is in the. Sorry, I'm having a hard time viewing it from this angle. 347 ohms, maybe. Can't tell if it's a kilo or whatever. Reverse it. 30. Okay. So 336. So I kind of wish this was backlit. So I'm going to take it away from here for a minute. Okay, that is kilo ohms. .78. I kind of wonder if this isn't our problem here. 367 kilo ohms. Interesting. This actually might be our failed component.
Well, unfailed.
Because a diode, as it reads, when you reverse polarity, should actually show infinite, and this one does not. So this actually might be our failed component here. Which begs me to question whether this was an updated part that was in here already. And the updated part failed. Yeah. So that is a very real question I have with this piece. Still gonna try to get it out of here. And it's not going to cooperate with me on that. Nope, it's not going to allow it. It's just taking this. The screw is just basically tearing up. So I guess we'll go back to the plan of trying to get the bottom out. Yeah, I'm just going to tear the bottom up too because I can't get a solid fit. Well, that might be where we stop here on this teardown, because these screws basically just dissolve themselves. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to bite with anything on these top two. And I'm not drilling these out, so. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get down to where I was hoping to get without doing damage. Now, these two screw heads here, when I put torque on them, the heads just mushroomed out, so they're dead. And trying to get the bottom one here at the angle, it's wanting to do the same things. Something that apparently was made to fail. So my thwarting here is these two heads on this diode. The two screws hold that diode to that little piece of metal. When I put the screwdriver to it, they didn't even offer any resistance. The heads, the slots just basically disintegrated on them. So that's going to end that. And what I'm going to try to do is just connect one of these wires and redo the diode check just to make sure what I saw is true. But I'm thinking for this particular charger, that was the failed component. Okay, that one came out nicely. So in disconnecting this part from the board, what this does is ensures that there is no parallel path for current flow, because that's what this is in effect doing, is it's measuring basically the voltage potential on it. So once again, our handy dandy meter up here. Let's see what our numbers are now that we isolated it. So this was the positive. And this is what we mean. So that was where I thought we had our issue. Well, it still may be, because it's okay, yep. But I'm having its own interesting deal that this time we are showing open in both directions. So I still think, yeah, I still think that this is our failed component. And it looks like the second one that they've got in there doesn't want to talk either. So it looks like that's our issue right there. I still think it is. So with that, we're going to wrap up this video here. That's basically the Nissan onboard charger torn down most of the way. Like I said, I don't want to have to get drills and whatnot out to get to those last couple of screws. So I just don't think that the destroying components here is in my list of desirables. Especially since there's a hope that there is some possibility that some of this stuff might actually be repairable. I found another fuse down here I'm going to check too, so that looks very, very interesting. I'm going to check it while I got you guys before I go away. Okay, so there's a fuse down here. I don't know if it can be seen from this angle or not. Of course, this will tell us. Okay.
Wait for the beep.
Yep, we made the noise. So the fuse that looked really, really weird and ruddy is good. So much for that. All right, as I said before, that'll do it for us on this video. I hope it is informative and allowed people to learn a little something.
If not, maybe air containing.
Yeah. If listening to me drone along is entertaining. So until next time, and on the 2019 Leaf that we bought that I'm doing video logs on, I know I have not done one in quite some time. I promised you guys I will get to one. We had illness hit us about the time I want to do the 5,000 mile update on it. We're getting close to 10,000 miles on it now, so figure instead of doing updates to 1,000 miles, 1 or 2,000 miles apart, I will do a 10,000 mile update, and we'll try to get them back to 5 from that point forward. So until next time,
stay safe out there, guys.